In this episode, we dig into Romans chapter 3, verses 1 through 20. Paul shows us that all of us are sinners. He shows us how serious our sin is, but he also helps us to see how awesome our salvation is. The biggest thing for me from this episode is that we've got to realize how bad our sin is before we can truly understand and appreciate how awesome our salvation is and how great Jesus is. I'm thankful that you took time today to pull up a seat. I hope these few minutes together help you follow Jesus better by deepening your relationship with Him and helping you live intentionally for Him every day. Just a quick recap so far. Paul is writing to the Jesus followers in Rome, trying to help them understand what it means or whatever it takes to follow Jesus in their culture. He's trying to help them figure out what they have to do and what they don't have to do. He's already established that it doesn't matter if you're a Jew or a Gentile. You need God and you need His grace. So we're going to focus in on chapter 3, verses 9 through 20. Here's what Paul says. What then? Are we Jews any better off? No, not at all. For we have already charged that all, both Jews and Greeks, are under sin. As it is written, none is righteous, no, not one. No one understands, no one seeks for God. All have turned aside, together they have become worthless. No one does good, not even one. Their throat is an open grave. They use their tongues to deceive. The venom of asps is under their lips. Their mouth is full of curses and bitterness. Their feet are swift to shed blood. In their paths are ruin and misery. And the way of peace they have not known. There is no fear of God before their eyes. Now we know that whatever the law says, it speaks to those who are under the law, so that every mouth may be stopped, and the whole world may be held accountable to God. For by works of the law, no human being will be justified in God's sight, since through the law comes knowledge of sin. Now what Paul's saying in verses 9 and 10, he's trying to explain that no one is righteous. Your heritage does not matter. No one is righteous, not the Jew, not the Gentile, not you, not me. We are all separated from God because of our sin. We are all sinners. This is the first truth for today. All of us are sinners. Do you realize that you're a sinner? You might compare yourself to someone else and think, well, I'm better than them. I'm not really that bad. But what we've got to do is we've got to compare ourselves to Jesus. He was perfect. Compared to Jesus, you and we are unrighteous. We're unclean. We're unholy. You and I are not right. And we therefore we're not in right standing with God. Having gone to church your whole life, going on mission trips around the world, being good, even our best efforts aren't good enough. We are all sinners. The second truth from today is that our sin affects every aspect of our life. Sin's pretty serious. In verse 10, Paul helps us to understand that. He says our sin has messed up our understanding. It's warped our worldview. Sin messes up the way we think. Our sin really does kind of make us dumb. It changes our worldview. It keeps us from seeking and finding God. Sin also takes away our value. Sin messes up our actions and our behaviors. We can't be good because inside we are sinful. Sin messes up how we talk. Think about it. Our words can kill. Our words can start wars. Words can destroy relationships. Our sin has messed up our conversations. It messes up our relationship with God. We start to replace ourselves as king. Sin is not good. Sin truly impacts every aspect of our life. Sin is serious. Sin is our biggest problem. So we need a great cure. In verses 19 through 20, Paul He explains how people have tried to fix sin, how they tried to fix their sin problem. As I read those verses, it comes across to me that people have tried to be good enough by keeping some list of do's and don'ts for centuries. I wish I really could keep a list of do's and don'ts. I think it would be easy. But Paul tells us that this list of do's and don'ts, these do's and don'ts, they reveal how inadequate we are to be right with God. We cannot live up to the standard. We are not good enough to fix our biggest problem. Our systems can't fix our biggest problem. The church can help, but it's inadequate to rescue us from our sin. The government, they can't solve this issue of sin. You cannot do it. There is only one solution to our sin problem. Only one way that we can be rescued. Skip down to verse 24. The only way that we can be declared right with God is through the grace, through His grace. His gift of redemption that comes through the person and work of Jesus Christ. Through His death, Jesus has redeemed us from the slavery of sin. He has brought us back and restored us to a right relationship with God. So to close this episode, I want to ask you just 2 questions. First, have you experienced God's grace through the person and work of Jesus Christ? This is a yes or a no question. If you're sure, you can be. If you're not sure, you can be. If you are sure, you can be. This is what you do. You've got to agree with God that you're a sinner, and you've got to trust that Jesus is the only way you can fix your sin problem. Second question, if you have experienced God's grace, are you helping other people hear the good news and respond to the person and work of Jesus Christ? If you're a follower of Jesus, it's your responsibility to tell other people about how great Jesus is. If you're struggling to answer either one of those questions, maybe you're not sure of your relationship with God, or maybe you're not sure how to tell people about Jesus, I'd love for you to just shoot me a text or give me a call, 205-807-8645. I'm praying for you, and I hope you have an awesome day. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this episode of Pull Up a Seat. If you've not yet subscribed, do that now so you can get content as soon as it comes out. Also, please help us get the word out by sharing on social media and inviting others to pull up a seat. Until next time, grow in your relationship with Jesus and find one way to live intentionally for Him. See you next time when we pull up a seat.